My name is Emma Collins, and I am the founder and education director at Scenic Shakespeare. I'm also a Wolf Trap teaching artist here at UTC with the Arts-Based Collaborative. Scenic Shakespeare was founded in 2020 and was a joint adventure with my friend Ryan Laskowski, who we had worked together for years and years. He was starting a Shakespeare company and asked if I would participate. That really was the birthing of Scenic Shakespeare. We had an entire live season planned of theater. Love's Labour's Lost was our first park show that we had planned for May of 2020, and we immediately knew we would not be able to do it. We wouldn't be able to fundraise, we wouldn't be able to properly prepare. So the choice was, do we shut down the organization without ever having done anything, or do we try to continue and use the resources available through our community and nationwide to artists in the pandemic to try to build something really unique? And that was what we did through remote theater and using our local actors and branching out to other areas to bring people in to do Zoom theater and then to see what that virtual theater could turn into with our creative endeavors. Ended up shipping green screens to all of our actors locally this was for Much Ado About Nothing, and we shipped them to 8 different states and then had an actor that we mailed one to in the UK. So we had 8 states, and then I think at least 3 or 4 different time zones for Much Ado About Nothing. And Ryan, my co-founder and technical director, would literally cut out and drag and drop the actors on one screen to put them together on a virtual background. And then I would direct them, tell them which way was stage left and stage right, who they were looking at. They would put post-it notes, drawings, whatever they needed up on their walls to know where people were. So it took a lot of faith from the actors, but that developed a lot of trust within a cast that that person would be where we said they would be when they looked there. And if they weren't, we needed to tell them very quickly because they were not looking at anyone at all. The virtual audition process is virtually the same as being in person and is better. We have now gone completely to video auditions, as I'm sure many theaters have, doing submittable audition videos. So many people do self-tapes now for theater companies, for films. Across the industry, it's become a standard. And it's easier, it's less stress for an actor, assuming they have accessibility. They can access their setup for filming. But for us, we can say, I like to give one monologue from one character in a play and give that to the actors. They film it, submit it back, and then we do callbacks together. Rehearsals are similar, but I think people are more focused on Zoom. In the rehearsal room, we get a lot of side chatting, I'm sure, as everyone does in class or wherever. It's a lot to come back from a break, go on break. On Zoom, you say, we're gone, we're back. You need to be, your face is in the screen, and it's hard to go away and ignore. We did have an actor, our actor in the UK fell asleep at one point because it was so late. It was a tech rehearsal, and we saw him start to nod off a little bit, and it was late in the show, and he had about an act that he was not in the play, and we saw his computer shut off, and we could not get in touch with him. He was gone. He was out for the night. Was our first in-person show, and it was at the Common House here in Chattanooga in November of last year. And it was offered to all theater companies locally for free. So to us, that was very exciting to have a free offering that we could use to fundraise. And it was such a success and so much fun to be back in a building with people doing theater. We brought in some of our actors who had done some of our virtual Shakespeare, who were also musical theater performers, to repeat some of the scenes from the shows they had done online, but finally in person together, which was very satisfying to see. And it helped us continue those relationships from the Zoom theater into real life theater. I almost feel like COVID allowed us to take it easier, to pause and say our health and the health of our actors is more important than getting together. It also really put the focus on actor care. For me, starting as an actor, moving into directing and then producing, the actor's experience is so important in the audition room, in the rehearsal room, and on stage or wherever we're performing. So it let us focus on how do we want to be treated as actors, as a company, and to really set that into stone virtually before we got into person and could put it into practice in real life. If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that we have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. Oh, and something more, some dream. Yeah. I'll learn it eventually.